Hello and welcome to another Retinue review. What is the Retinue review? You may be asking yourself. Well, this is a monthly gathering where I get and review minis from my Patreon and channel members that they can submit. So if you want your mini reviewed, be sure to sign up for my Patreon channel members, many times tier or above, as always. And if you don't want to support me, or you can't, or you just don't care, but you still want your minis reviewed, go and check the Facebook group PMP Painters Motivating Painters, where once a month you can submit a mini, and the great Vince Venturella will review it for you, free of charge. So great for him, but this is a way I have to give back something to my supporters because they are amazing. And I love them, and I want to give them something back for all they do for me, which is a lot. So, welcome to the review. We have 7 entries today, which is very exciting, and they are all great as always. And I'm really, really looking forward to showing them to you. But first, a bit of channel news that I like to do. Next big tutorial will be Adeptus Mechanicus. I have the guy here. It's still a bit green in the painting side, but I will speed it up in this couple of days, and I hope I have the video edited by Friday. And the next one I have lined up will be probably some upgrots for Cruel Boys, and I will have some of the Tanith contrast painting, so I would be very excited and really looking forward to that. So I will try to mix a bit of 40k and AOS videos, just so it's not. I just had like quite a bit of AOS intensive content. I will try to mix it up a little bit more. So as always, just know that while I'm doing this review, I can't read all your comments, so excuse me if you leave a comment and I don't reply to you. I'm really sorry. There's nothing I can do because I can't look at the comments and do all the stuff I do because I don't have 2 monitors, which I should, but I don't. So, are we early today? No, it should be at the time that was programmed. So I programmed it because being Sunday, I programmed this to be at a time that is very convenient for me. I just had something to eat, and everyone is calm, and I can do this fairly easily without getting too late for me. So it's going to be great. And late at night, I can paint later on. Yes, yes. Kelto says that this used to be in the evening. Yes, it used to be in the evening, but I want to paint in the evening, which is the only time that I have to paint without any bothers, so this is going to be great. So good morning, Gomez Zara, great to see you here. And I think we should start with the review after all this. If you wanted to have any questions answered, just leave them on the chat, and I will take a look at the chat when I finish all the review in about an hour and a half, and I will answer them for you, but you will have to wait till the end. So I think we should start now with this lovely beanie by Adam, and this is Adam's first submission, and I think you can see the cursor now, which was one complaint in I think previous video, but you can see the cursor now, which is awesome, and I think that will be helpful. So this is Adam's first submission, which is very exciting for me. I always love to see new people joining and new people submitting work. And this is a very lovely Blight Lord or Nurgle thing. All Nurgle things look the same to me. This is AOS, so it's medievally disgusting, but it's still Nurgle, so it's always disgusting. And I think he did a fantastic job with the skin tones and with the armor. I think they are just on point, really. They look really good, and I think overall the overall composition looks really good to me. But of course This is it is my job to try to improve this a little bit and give a couple of pointers on onto what he should do to give this to another level. So my first the first thing that caught my eye is this goo here coming from his belly, and I think, although I do like it, it stands out on its own because this is the only thing that it's that specific color on the mini. And I think it would be better if you either change this to red to simulate the same blood here, or if you add the same color to another places. So let's see if we can add this to another place. So I'm going to take this green here, and I think a good place would be on his eyes. So you can basically drop this green paint into the eyes, just like that. And then you can take this other lighter green shade that you used to highlight it and try to drop it in the middle. It's not very easy, but it can be done. Another solution, if you find this very difficult, is to fill those eyes with a little bit of green stuff prior to painting, or other kind of putty, so you have not such a deep hole that makes it very easy. But I think that alone kind of balances out the whole mini very well, I think. And you can also take this darker green and do a kind of bit of a glow around here. Again, if you watch my latest video, which is about glowing details like this one, you want to leave a darker line in between them, something like this. I think that will look really cool, and also again complement that green so it's not just in one place, which is kind of a bit stark. And also the attention will be on his head, which is what you want. Another detail that I think needs a bit of improvement is the shaft of his weapon, which I think is a bit flat. So you have some highlight, which is great, but I think you can add a bit more shading. So you can take this same brown that you used here and mix it with a bit of black if you want, and you can just glaze this into a bigger brush size, and you can just glaze this, especially to in the parts where it meets the other parts of the model. Maybe too much. Okay. So for example here and around these spikes and around the hands. And in that same theme, I think that this would benefit a lot if you just outline your details a bit more. For example, you can add a bit darker lines around the armor panels, for example. Very careful. You can just use, for example, a thin brush and Abrax Earthshade to do this. That will work too. It might require a couple of passes, but it will work. And if you darken down this a lot towards this goo here, you can also his fingers, I think you can add a bit darker shade in between them. Right there. And you can add a bit of this green glow just to go with the eyes. You can add a bit of this glaze down into here, just like this, and like this, and maybe even here. There you go. I think that looks fantastic. I think it would be a great touch if you do it. So you can see the difference from non-shading, non-glow do a bit more punch. It basically directs your eyes towards the details that you want to be directed to. So I think it's a good improvement. And as I said, I wouldn't touch things like the maybe I will add a bit of green to this one too, just a tiny bit like this. There you go, just like that, just to add a bit more contrast also. But yeah, I wouldn't touch his skin. Maybe painting these boils here with this same brown tone that you use for the others. Yeah. Just like that. But for the most part, I think the skin looks great, and I think the armor itself looks fantastic. I wouldn't touch it. It has a nice weathering, but I would also improve the horns a little bit, maybe with some highlights. You can take, maybe this is too much, but something in the ballpark of this, something like maybe a tiny bit more. Maybe Baneblade brown, maybe Karak stony kind of color. And you can add, I need to thin this down a bit more and make it a bit harsher. Okay, sorry about that. Configuring this is a pain in the ass. And just add some, make some lines with this all along them. We need to go lighter than this. Yeah, like this. Just thin your paint, and you don't need anything else, just thin paint. Be careful and draw these lines as they are. If you use thin enough paint, you won't need anything else, and you can finish with a tiny bit of white in some spots, like here, 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 and the tips. Something like this. I think that will improve it quite a bit. So again, you did a fantastic job. I really like it, and it's very gnarly. But you can also, my main advice for this piece would be not to add just one spot of color in one place of the mini and then forget about it, because all your attention will be focused into that detail. You can see again, but I will just remove all the review stuff, and your side goes directly into that color because it's very green, it's very intense, and kind of the rest of the model is a bit lost. But if you balance it out, placing it in other places, like a bit of glow, the glowing eyes, your balances out the whole paint job, and I think it looks fantastic. And just adding, knitting things up, a bit of panel lining, a bit of highlights on those homes, and you will have a fantastic job, a fantastic mini, because you have a fantastic mini to start with. So great job, Adam. Thank you for your submission, and it's been a real pleasure. I wish I had something else to say, but I really like this. It's a great job. Another detail that I personally like, this is my personal opinion, is that I don't like unpainted bases with painted models. Your base looks fantastic and I really like it, but I will probably try to paint these rocks, add a wash to the sandy, very thin wash to all the sand. Kind of will help integrate everything together. That's my own opinion, and it's nothing to do with your paint job at all. It's a matter of personal preference. here. So again, Adam, thank you for your submission, and I really hope this helps you out with your painting. So let's move on to the next submission. Okay, oh no, sorry, that's the last one, because the next one is Chelsea again, and again, month after month I see a lot of improvements and a lot of very cool details. So I think that stand out here that I really like are all these metallic faces, which are painted superbly, and a great use of wet blending, contrast colors over metallics. I think they look amazing. I kind of wish I had that idea myself, because I think this is pretty much perfect representation of what these shields should be. So great job there. I'm not going to touch this area at all, because it's really good, but I will concentrate a bit more on the rest of the details, because of course this stands out. This banner standard whatever totem thing stands out a lot, and that's a good thing. But I think the rest of the model is kind of looks a bit drab, a bit flat, and I think it can be improved. So you did a great job on his face, but I think you need to make his eyes redder. Maybe it's because of the picture, could be, but lighter red will help. Oops, will help bring those out better. Sorry. Also, I know you are going to just I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I would personally paint the teeth. I know what you're going to say, but that's how I roll. So I know he has some teeth here. It really helps with his overall look, and also bringing out the details on the face a bit more. Makes it stand out. And again, the rest is just a matter of highlighting everything a bit more. So you can take the same bone color and just do some extra highlights here and there, especially here in this quartz and around his face, like here, and here, on the edges here, on these ragged pieces of fur. It looks like you did like a highlight and then a wash. If you did that, just go back to the highlight color and highlight it again. But also this metallic details here look a bit flat compared to the others, so maybe you will want to, especially this shoulder pad, maybe relayer in this with this metallic color here, which because it seems like you have a big pool of wash. I personally don't like. Just relayering this and maybe adding this silver highlight, another highlight of this volumetric highlight with it here, maybe here. You know what I'm talking about. It looks fantastic, but looks a bit flat for some reason. Maybe it's the picture, could be. So if it is the picture, sorry Chelsea. I will personally re-highlight this. If you haven't gone to the brightest silver that you have, do it, and if you have, well, maybe do it a bit more, or maybe, I don't know. It might be good, it might be just the lights that you have. But I like my details standing out a bit more. Like this. Maybe you can add a bit of flesh tone. I really like with orcs to add a bit of flesh tone into the open wounds. So you can always take some flesh tone and, as I did in my video, glaze it around places like this. And then you can just go to a very light flesh tone and do the final highlight. Just like this. Again, I know I don't have much feedback here, but you did a fantastic job, and this banner steals the show completely, and it's a good thing that it does, because it's a fantastic piece. And yeah, I really like it. Just working a bit more on getting all those finer details picked up, if you care about that sort of stuff. Adding a bit more tonal variation to the skin, I personally like that a lot. And just it's a matter of working more on the neatness and those kind of things, because you're going into the right direction, in my opinion. But again, not a big change, but kind of makes it stand out a bit more, punch out a bit more from the picture. Again, fantastic job, and really like a really cool looking base, by the way. You can, as I said before, you can, to Adam, you can do a bit of a dry brush over the tufts to bring out those details a bit more. That will help integrate everything better. But again, Chelsea, fantastic job. I really like this. You will have to tell me later which colors you used on this banner here, because I really like what you did. So moving on to the next one. This is again, this is a submission by Carlos, which is if you have seen the previous entries, he's a hobbyist which is returning into the hobby after a very long hiatus, and it's trying to improve and get better, and month after month he's doing a fantastic job, and I think he is slowly getting there and improving, which is what you want. Also, I want to say to some people, which this is a common thing, is people are a bit frustrated with how fast or how slow they progress, and I would say don't worry about that. It makes no sense. Just keep painting, keep doing what you enjoy, and progress will come. Some people progress faster, some people progress slower. Just enjoy the process. As long as you're enjoying what you do, just keep on doing it. So we have this Dark Oath thingy. I think you had a bit of an issue with the primer, because I see some graininess, and I doubt that's from thick paint. I think this graininess on her face is because of the primer. That can happen. It happened to me a lot of times. Don't worry too much. But what I would add to this, just let me say that the improvements that I've seen from your first minute to this is absolutely stunning, especially some of the blending. You're starting to understand more light and how it falls on the mini, and I think you're doing a great job. So just let me point that out. And I'm going to start with her face, because I think is the main thing here, and I think you're lacking a bit of contrast. And again, I think you lost a bit of details with the primer, which is a shame, but it can be recovered. So first of all, I will probably recommend you try and paint the eyes before painting the face. That's something that helps a lot of people out, because her eyes are a bit smaller than what you painted. So let me explain. Let me get this. I'm going to get a dark brown here. like this. Okay. So if you paint the eyes first, as you did, and then you go back and you line them following the sculpt, it will be something like this. More or less. It's very hard to say, but something like this. And then you paint the face around. It would be easier. That's a trick that I usually tell newcomers, and that I was taught a very long time ago. If you're going to paint the eyes, let me make a very quick sample here. It's a good trick to painting eyes. So you have your sculpt, you have your eyes here on your mini. The first step before painting the face on anything should be to take a very light flesh tone or a very light off-white, something like this. Don't use pure white to paint the eyes of the minis, never looks good. So you paint the inside of the eyes. I need more of this. There you go. So you paint the eyes with this color. Then you take whatever color you want the pupils to be. In this case, I'm just going to take a very dark brown. And what you do is a vertical line. Don't try to make a dot. Dots are very difficult to make with a brush. Lines, especially vertical lines, are easier. So you take your brush and you make vertical lines. Or one vertical line, because you can do this with one brush stroke, like this. And then you take your flesh tone and you knead this up. Oh no, sorry. And then you take the same brown and you outline the eyes with this, like this. And then you take that flesh tone and you just paint, leaving a tiny bit of that brown line surrounding it, like this. And then you will have your eyes done. It's a very simple way of making them and works really well. So try it for the next one. Of course, if you're doing washes or something like that, be a bit careful, because your wash could run into the eye, so you will have to be very careful with that. But if you're starting from a darker flesh tone and then just highlighting, it works very well. I will also add some bit of wash into her mouth, or some kind of shading, because it's a bit too massive brush, because it's a bit too bright, like this. The same outlining could be helpful. Also, you went for a very orange color for the hair. I personally like a bit more brown ochre for redheads, but it's a personal preference. Oops, damn keyboard. Okay, so more details. Basically, I'm going to say something about this cloak here. You did a fantastic job. I will probably take this same color you used here on the bottom, which is the correct highlight place, by the way. And I will highlight it a bit more, especially in this crease here. Very thin line, maybe a bit brighter even than this. There you go, something like this. And the same way you did a highlight here, You could probably do a highlight inside of this one too, because it kind of feels like it should be a highlight there. Because if you think how light falls from the top, this is directly parallel to where the light would hit. So you will probably have a highlight as well in here. I know this is sometimes a bit counterintuitive, but that's what it would, how it would be in real life. Something like this, more or less. Yeah, more or less. But again, that's optional. And details like this, you have to be very careful, because you have the fur here, and you have painted a bit of the flesh tone over the fur. So here, also a bit of the flesh tone over the leather here, and those kind of things are easily fixable if you work in layers. So another very good advice that I was given when I was starting by people that usually paint historical models is to start from the inside out. So you start with the flesh, and then things that are on top of it in order. So if you have painted the face, the flesh first, and then painted this fur, that wouldn't be an issue now, because you will have covered all those details with the fur color, which is what you should do. There you go. It's just a matter of neatening this up a little bit. Something like this and something like this. So always try to paint the details that are on top of all the details in that order. Start with the details that are beneath, and then move upwards. That will help you a lot in all that neatness. I also see that you try to do some glazing here on the axe runes, and it's a good attempt. The paint looks fairly thin, but I think you applied too much. I think you had your brush loaded a bit too much. When you're doing a glaze, you want to take that thin paint, and when you have your brush loaded, you take this. You take your brush. I don't know if you can see me. So you take your brush and just dab it onto the paper towel to get rid of the excess, and then you glaze. And always remember to glaze from the point you want less paint, and move your brush into the point you want more paint. But a good improvement will be to knead this up with the metallic colors. So you take a darker metallic like this one, and just maybe reduce this area a little bit if you want. It looks very good to me, but if you want to improve it, just try to repaint this with the metallics. You can glaze with the metallics as well. It's not as easy, but it can be done. There you go. And then you can take a darker shade of red, so something like this, and you can drop this into the recess. Just very thin. That's too opaque. You want this paint to be very, very thin, like a glaze consistency, and just place it in the middle. Something like this. So the runes read a little bit better, and I think helps with conveying that glowing effect. Because these are to me a bit too thin to just do with the regular method, which would be to make like the rune is actually glowing. It's easier to just have a darker color and paint the glow on the edges, but that's again personal preference. So yeah, you know what I'm going to say. It's a matter of keep doing what you're doing, working on your neatness. There are places that I really like the black leather, like this purple cloak, which I think is fantastic, and you did a great job there. And other places where you seem like you are struggling with the flesh tones, which I totally understand. And it seems you are just going back and forth doing a lot of layers, and maybe you should try to do less of that. So less layers, but more precisely applied, maybe. But again, it's very difficult to judge without seeing you paint, actually, which I really hope I could do. Maybe one day. Come here. Bring some beer, bring some food, and I will gladly teach you in person. So you're doing a great job. I've seen your progress from that first tau you submitted to this, and it's very impressive. And it shows you are learning a lot. So just keep doing what you do. Keep painting, keep motivated, and if you need help, you know where to find me. So thank you for your submission, Carlos. You're doing a great job. Again, that elf just wants to be seen. That's, you know, elves are just the best, and they just want to be seen. So he just wants to come out to the review because, you know, he knows that elves. This is a pro elf place. So we have Chris submissions here. This fantastic looking unit of stormcast things, stormcast shaped objects. They all look fairly the same. I don't know how these are called. I know these are some of the new ones. It's because they have like this dwarven kind of face on the front. I'm fairly certain this is meant to be Sigmar, but it is also meant to look a bit dwarvish. And this is a fantastic looking unit. If I faced an army painted like this, I will be a very happy opponent because this looks great. And for an army painting level, this is, to me, just the perfect balance between work and return in your investment, for just to say it in a way that it's easily understandable. So you will, if you do more work than this, from a gamer standpoint on the table, you're not getting back enough to justify the extra work. But I am a bit mad, and I will probably show you all my armies. I've been thinking about doing an army showcase for my 50k subs celebration, so that could be a cool video. Sorry. But yeah, for army painting, this is just perfect. And I think they look fantastic. The bases look good. Those touches of red on the bases look fantastic. A couple of things. If you are going with those red flowers on the bases, I will either tone those down. If you can add a bit of wash, it can be a bit difficult, or brighten up this red. I would take some red like this one on the flowers. What is my? And I will probably highlight this red gems to make them up to this same level of intensity on the red, because now the red kind of stands out too much, all the ones on the bases, and I think adding a bit of red here could help a lot. So I'm going to add a bit more opacity, and you can add the same red glow onto the eyes, which I think they will look really good. And you can take a darker shade of red for the glowing effect around the eyes. If you want that kind of look, it looks a bit evil. I'm not going to lie, but I really like it. Another detail that you can do, especially maybe for characters or stuff like this, because I see that you did a dry brush and then you did a wash, which is a very clever thing to do, is to add a final highlight with a brush. I will take something like a bright silver, whatever bright silver you want, and just do a highlight, especially on these chest motifs here and here. Details like this, just picking out the brightest details with this silver. Like that. Kind of makes it stand out quite a bit more. You can see the difference there. And take a very, very bright silver and do a highlight on the face. Again, probably will be just for the characters, but might be interesting to have in mind. You know. Something like this. Again, the difference, quite notable. I think it looks really cool. I think you have a fantastic color scheme, and it's a matter of, do you want to get it into the realm of evil looking or not, with all those red glowing eyes. I won't go in, but I think glowing eyes go very well with the stormcast personally. And you can even add a last highlight onto the armor with a very, very bright silver, or even, yeah, very bright silver, just like that. Kind of makes it stand out more, read a bit better. But again, I will probably just do that for characters or stuff like that. And if you're going the glowy route, you can just go all the way and just add a bit of glow into things like the rune here on the shield, sorry, and things like runes here too. You can even add a bit there. You feel fancy. So kind of like that, But all in all, composition wise, I really like this. It's a very simple color scheme. It's very well executed. I think it looks really good. You have two different colors, two different steel colors, which is a fantastic thing to do. You have this lighter steel and the blacker armor, which I think looks really, really cool. Every detail is very readable. I'm sure they look fantastic on the gaming table. That's all what it's all about. But if you want to improve them, I will try to add, I think the red glow is the way to go. And for the characters, just add those extra highlights. Especially, you don't have to do it all around. Just concentrate on your head, chest area, shoulders, kind of thing, to draw the eye into that area, because that's what, especially if you do the red glowing details on the eyes, all the attention will be focused on that area. So having more highlights on that area is the way to go. You can ignore things like feet, hands, stuff like that. No one's going to look at that. But again, fantastic looking unit and great submission. And again, this is a bit of a theme with today's video. I wish I had more to say, but it's just a very good paint job. There's nothing I would change other than adding all those little details again, with glow, without glow. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you next month. And we are going to move into James's submission, which is a cute little monkey, Jokaero, and in a very cute scene. So you can see I have two pictures, so you can picture everything, and then I will just use one for the review bit. But I thought it was a very lovely scene, and I thought showing it would be a good idea. So let me just begin with saying that the fur is very well done. it looks like a real fur on a orangutan. Is that the name in English? Sorry if it isn't, but you know what I'm talking about. It looks like the real fur. The color is very well done. I think using blue as the standard color is a very nice idea because it goes very well with the orange. I think the whole scene is very lovely, and I think it looks great. Although you use cork for these rocks, and I think it looks a bit too much like cork for my own taste. I know that's kind of thing to do, but I will probably next time try to make it look less like cork. I think Vince Venturella has a video on that when he uses cork to make a base, and then he adds a bit of stuff on top, texture, fallen pieces, and whatever to distract from your mind that is cork, and it looks like a sheet of cork on top of the base. And I will probably, just talking about the base and going to go into the lovely dude here, I will probably add a bit more variation. I think this will benefit greatly from some shading around these grass tufts. So you can use very thin down Agrax Earthshade to actually just wash the bottoms of the tufts, so they feel more integrated, and then just take a very light dry brush on top just to pick out those strands and make everything look painted as well as the rest of the model. But I think you, of course, don't do that on the poor flowers, but they look good already. And maybe probably you have a nice color variation on the ground. There's a lot of tones there, but I think if you added a bit of pigments there, it will help. I don't know if you have pigments already in there. It doesn't look like it, but if you have pigments, add them to add a bit more color variation. You can add a green pigment or a green enamel wash or a green wash to add some moss into the rocks. Again, adding a bit more color variation. The more you add, the better. It's never going to be too much. Nature is extremely varied, and breaking down all that gray on the rocks and all that brown with some greens, with some pigments, with some texture will help it quite a lot. But again, you did a fantastic job. Overall, I think it's a lovely scene. I thought it was so lovely that I wanted to show it the bigger picture before I move into the a more in detail analysis. So first of all, again, color choices, simple but very effective, and this really shows like it took quite a bit of time. I will probably add so there is a very harsh transition from this lighter blue into the darker blue. You probably want to mix a mid-tone. Take this. You probably want to mix something intermediate here. Something like this. And just blend this a little bit better or a little bit extra. Just have 50-50 mix of both colors should be enough. Just like this. And then I will probably take something like Cantor blue or very dark blue or very dark teal, whatever you want, something like this kind of blue, and I will probably add this to the upper side a bit more, and also to the surrounding areas, so it stands out a bit more, just like this, just like this. Yeah, I like it. And you can even go further and do a bit darker at some points, but that's just me being a nuisance, especially in this corner here and this corner here. Also, probably make sure this, I'm sure this is a tiny mini, so I'm not going, what I'm going to say is maybe a bit too much, but be sure when you're making those dots that you can take your meat blue that you use here and make a preliminary dot, or your highlight blue. Maybe this highlight blue will be better. Like this, and then take pure white and do the dot inside of that one. Just like this. It's a subtle difference, but I think it makes a big difference. I know I'm just being annoying. Or even if you don't want to do that, you can just, we can just go back to no detail. You can just take pure white. I think we have pure white now. Yes, we have pure white. And instead of a dot, you can do a line. Sort of like this. I really like that too. Just like that. And yeah, I will probably, for example, you kind of went with the flesh tone or didn't went with the a steel color around here. So taking a dark brown, very dark brown, and lining this. So making sure there is a separation between the goggles and his face. Yeah, much better. And then you can even add a bit more shading. You can take a pinker tone. Maybe even if isn't very realistic, you can take something like Carbo Crimson, which would be probably something like this. Thinning it down a lot and just doing a glaze over some parts of the face. I honestly don't know how these monkeys look, so excuse me if I'm completely wrong here. Just around here towards the bottom where the lip makes that separation. Just doing it in thin glazes will help this quite a lot. I think that looks good. Looks good to me. And then you can take a very bright flesh tone and just do a final highlight there. Especially here on the lip and here on the something like that. Same goes for the hands. You can use the same pinkier flesh tone to add a bit more interest. And the knuckles, you can glaze it over them. Oops, I'm going to go back to my selection. So something like this. Yeah, opacity seems right. So just glaze this around the knuckles and stuff like that. Just to add a bit more variation, whether it's realistic or not. Well, who doesn't? Who does really care? Something like that. Yeah. Also, if you haven't used your brightest silver, which I think you did, but you haven't, you can just mix it with a bit of white and do a final highlight on the finger here, which I think would be a good touch. But apart from that, I really like this. So a couple of improvements, but I think good ones overall. So from this to this, again, the fur looks great. The overall mini looks fantastic. Just those couple things to bring it up to something extra. But again, I really enjoyed when I opened the email, I thought it was a lovely piece and very lovely thing to have on your shelves. I think it looks fantastic. So very well done, James, and thank you for your submission, which is not common that you do. So I really appreciate it. So we're going into the second to last one. This is a submission from John, and it's a Vastilodon, or I think it's called Vastilodon, whatever it's called. It looks fantastic. So this is another example of tabletop painting taken to the perfect level. That's my opinion. You can see that he clearly did some dry brushing over the carapace, and then he did a black contrast layer or a black wash, and that was a fantastic idea. The main body is basically just a green contrast over all that texture, and honestly, looks good enough. Mine is the same basically. I did the same. I did mine very similarly, but in yellow or orange, or yellowy orange. So I approve of that. You don't want to go and highlight all those scales because it's a pain in the ass, and who wants to do that? I think these freehand patterns looks fantastic, and I really appreciate that you did the same on the skinks here. My main advice here would be probably some minor touches. So taking something like this looks like Thunderhawk blue, so we can take something like Fenrisian gray, which would be something like this more or less, and if you feel like it, you can just paint some striations in places like the tail here, or the spikes basically. I'm going to make it a bit more opaque, or I'm going to be here forever. Just painting some lines on these spikes, on the main ones. You don't have to do all of them, but it really makes for these monsters, makes them stand out a bit more. I'm going to move into the front ones, which are very important. Here, here, and here. And then you can move into something like Wolfwood Grey, which would be something like this. And just do the final touches here on the peaks. Oops. Oh. And same here. Just like that. And my main focus here would probably be this green crystal here, because that green crystal really needs a bit, is kind of the centerpiece of the whole model, so giving it a bit of extra work really pays out. So I will probably take something like this dark green, which I'm guessing is something like orc flesh. You can take orc flesh, would be like this, and you can glaze it down. Turn the opacity down a bit, and you can glaze it down towards the. You can basically, you have to choose one direction, apply it, and be consistent throughout. So you can glaze it towards this place here. On this place here, and here you have to do it towards here. And same for here. If you choose this direction, just choose it like downwards. I generally prefer, excuse me, I'm going to undo that. For this kind of crystals, I think it looks good if you leave this towards the top, the darker bits. Maybe it was right. I did the same on mine, but with purple. And not a bit extra darkness. It will look way more saturated if you do it on the model. This is just how Photoshop likes to do stuff, which is a bit annoying sometimes. Something like that. I personally like it better. Looks stands out more, and I think it's a great touch. Again, there is not much I can say really, because I know this is a tabletop paint job, but you can always add more highlights on the flesh of the skinks if you want. This looks like Leviathan blue, so yes, you can take this, lighten it up a bit more, and do like a final highlight. Let's go lighter here. Yeah, if you want, but again, it looks very good to me already. But yeah, I will probably concentrate. Oh yeah, one more detail that I would personally like is painting with white or near white some striations here. Oh, damn. Oh, Photoshop, I hate you. Yeah, there you go. Some lines on the claws there. Another detail, I'm personally not really sure I like that blue rim. It's very distracting to me. It's just, my eyes just want to go to that blue rim. That's why I really prefer black. But if that's how you went for your army, I'm not going to judge. Some people, different folks, like different things. But what I would really think it would improve a lot if you add a bit of shading to the base. Again, this is just flock glued down. It looks okay, but I think if you did a very thin wash with something like a Thonian camo shade, you can thin it down with lime and medium a lot and just apply it over that flock. Maybe add more or more concentrated around these tufts, and I think it will improve this like a lot, because it won't look unpainted. That's what I'm saying. But again, this is a fantastic submission, and again, this looks amazing. This on the table with those fiery details, fantastic piece. Great job, John. You did a fantastic job. And it's lizard, which is another of my passions. So what I'm going to say, I love it. So let's move into the next one, and we finally get to the elf. He's been trying to pop in for the review since we started, and we're finally there. This is another piece for Mark's army. Mark is doing a fantastically good looking high elf army, classic high elves. Nothing of those rounded bases things, proper high elves. And he painted one of my favorite models, which is the Sea Lord, whatever he is called. I'm not good with the names. I chose the banner. He chose that beautifully painted spear. He painted that spear using one of my videos, so if you want to know how he painted this beautiful looking blade, go and check my how to paint TMM swords video, which is just a fantastic example of that. Things to improve here. Well, there's a couple. First of all, I think I told you this at some point, but I really think if you take this and you darken it down a little bit, you can fairly easily draw some wood grain on here, which I think this mini will benefit. It doesn't have to be very apparent. It can be very subtle, but I think a character model really should have the wood grain painted. That's my opinion. Maybe like this. You can darken the wood grain more towards the when he meets the hand, and here on the end of the shaft, and some places here and there. There you go. Yeah, I really like that. That's my main improvement, because once when I saw it, I just went, this needs wood grain. I would say a bit more neatness around the helmet, but I've painted this. I know how much a pain in the ass is painting this helmet. Paint just goes everywhere. So I'm not going to judge you too harshly on that, but being a bit neater is always a good thing. And the other thing that I would personally improve, before I get to that, is take this darker shade. I know which color you use, maybe something like Cavalite green, and please run it around the gem so it stands out a bit more. Something like this. I really like that color, by the way. And here on the inside of the cape, I know it's the inside, but you have some nasty pooling here, which I know you're very aware of, and I know it's not easy to fix, but this is the kind of stuff you need to be aware of when you're using contrast paints, because that will happen. It will happen. It happens to everyone. It happens to me all the time, and it will happen to you, because that's what contrast paints does. So if you can mix something like this color and fix it, do it. And if you can't, well, just leave it and live with it, because it's not that important really. Something glaze of that color. The main issue, you will have to mix that color probably, and also you have some splotches of paint here, which you should probably fix if you can. I'm guessing this is this Achillean green, which got you got into these details, which again goes to show that maybe what I was talking about with the Carlos Mini, of working in layers, because if you painted this trouser before you painted the armor, which is on top of it, you wouldn't have had that issue. It's easier always to paint the things that are on top of other things rather than painting things that are underneath other stuff. But this is, I think, a great centerpiece for your elf army. I think it looks fantastic, and I think you're doing a great job. I don't know what else to say. You have your process nailed down. This is an example of more or less the standard that I paint my armies to. So that's a very good example, and I really prove that. It's a very simple layers, washes or contrast, couple highlights. For characters you can splash and just do a couple more highlights, but again, very defined colors that work very well together, and use the same colors over and over and over again, and then you will have a fantastic looking army. I'm really looking forward to seeing the whole thing together once you finish it. But I think you need to find some sky cutters. But again, this is the end. Thank you all for your submissions, and thank you all very much for watching the things I do. Let's go to the chat and see what people have been saying. Oh, a lot of chat activity. That's nice. Okay. That's Adam. It's looking that. Yeah, I think we now being Sunday and a good time, I think everyone is here, which is fantastic. I really love that. Yeah, everyone is the axe of the Nurgle Mini. If you see what the people are talking about, saying that the axe from the first Nurgle Mini is fantastic. Thank you, Adam. I really like. It says, cheers, guys, and thanks, Juan. That is great feedback. Thank you for your submission. It was a true pleasure. I have the Holy Coast, those highlights. Che, just knocking it out of the park again. Yeah, that orc is fantastically well done. That banner is just so good. It's candy coating metallics at top tier level for me. Gooseberry cookies. Says you saying, you will be sorry, Juan. This is going to cost you more cookies. The pelt is supposed to be look like a spotted hyena. Yeah, she is doing all hide for different animals on their Cruel Boy's clothing, and it looks fantastic. She's doing a great job. If you want to see more examples, go back to the past month's review where I review a couple of orcs painted by her, and one had zebra, one had tiger, another had another animal, and they will look all really good and really well done hide color patterns. Yeah, people saying that they really struggle with eyes. I really hope that it's because the eyes. I really hope that technique that I showed you about painting eyes will help you. Sorry, I'm just reading through the comments, so this is not very interesting. Apart from the people that have wrote them in the past, but yeah. Yeah, live after paints. I never knew that the highlights go in the valleys too. They do when imagine you have the sun from the top, and your cape is like this. The light will catch on the top, but when the cape goes like this, light will also fall into the recesses, and only the sides should be in shadow. We don't do it all the time because sometimes you just want to go for a very a specific effect. But if you have like a very wavy cape and you want like a direct light from above, like a very sensible highlight, that light will fall into the surfaces which are parallel to the source of light, and thus includes the valleys as well as the peaks. It's very interesting, but go on and look for pictures of cloth, of capes, of real pictures, of course, real photos, and you will see that. Also, some paint jobs from good people, and you will also see that. It's very interesting. Hey Charlie, thank you for being here. Thank you for your submission. It is good. You're doing a good job. So just keep painting. Chris, for that elf, too fablesome to be on screen. He just wants to be on screen. He wants to be like all elves. He needs to be the sole protagonist. That's just how elves are, and he knows it. That he was the only elf on this month's show, and he needed to be on display. Stormcast shaped objects, yes, they all look the same to me. Chris Porter, yeah, the red on the mini does look quite washed out to compare to the flowers. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You have a very bright detail on the base that is brighter than anything else on the rest of the models. Your eyes will go into the base, and you don't want that. The base should be just a complement. So adding a bit more red into the rest of the paint job, making it brighter, will help you. Will help this again. Is the same as we're talking about with Adam's Nurgle thing. That bright green just in the middle captures all your attention. So adding more green, the same brightness to all the details will help you. And here, taking that very bright red and adding it all over the model will help a lot. The goal was always to get tabletop and see if I could push a little further. I definitely add your advice to my homework this stormcast. Yes, again, you can just do that for character models and so on. And if you want to do the red glowy eyes, you probably just take a little bit of something like Vallejo plastic putty, which can be thinned down, and fill the eyes a bit. So do a couple of layers inside the eyes before you paint them, because otherwise they might be too deep for the glow to show well. So just a couple of drops with your brush, with a disposable brush, to the plastic putty inside. Wait for it to dry. It will take a while because it will be piled up quite a lot, and then you can paint it and it will be much easier. Yeah, and life after says, love these guys. The trees are really good. They look fantastic on the tabletop. They will be just perfect, adorable. Yeah, I think at this point we move into the Joka era, which I think that's the case. Orangutan, yes. I wasn't sure if that was the word. That's the same word in Spanish. I wasn't sure it was the same word in English. I want one as a pet. Life After says, yeah, trying to get the cork less corky is good. I watched his video. I don't know which of the thousands of videos that he has is, but it's one where he just used cork to make a base. And all the advices around how to make cork look less like cork and more like rock. Yeah, that's about life. This is the Joker is Life After minis. Oh yeah, but it says there are some pigments on it. The Town on the Rocks. I got cold feet and started adding them. You can just go bananas on the terrain itself. Don't put them on the Yokaira, but on the terrain you can just go nuts, and it will look good. Yeah, thank you. I really like you. I really appreciate you liked it. That does look better. Less harsh transition. I'm really glad you liked it. Oh, I think just. Oh yeah, look at this big boy. We move now into John's submission, which is the Little Man. Very cool. The lava crackles really add to the whole model. I really agree. It looks fantastic. The base stands out more than the model, though. Yeah, that was what I was saying. That the blue rim is a bit too much, maybe. Oh, my army base rims are turquoise again. It's a personal preference. I like very dark black rims, but others like those colors. So if you like them, no issues with that. Oh my god, that crown. That's how we roll here. In the review, I wear my crown. Brilliant model, but the spear is awesome. Yeah, I really agree that spear is like the top part of that model. Oh, Gavin Garth is here. Gavin Garth is an amazing painter. If you haven't seen his work, go and check him on Instagram. You won't regret it. He does such a great job. And thank you for being here. It's been a real pleasure and a real honor to have you here. Hey Juan, what's coming up with tutorials? I answered that in the beginning, but I will answer that again. Next one, which I'm painting at the moment, it's a bit green still, is Adeptus Mechanicus. So that will be on Friday. hopefully, if I can finish it, shouldn't be too much because it's basically just 3 colors, so it should be okay. And the next one will be upgrots for the Cruel Boys, and the next one after that will be a Tanith First and Only contrast paint, and I'm really looking forward to that. Chris Porter says a really good alternative for cork for basing is bark chips. They look very convincing. League like rock without the porous look. Yeah, I like that. I have my only issue is where to find them in bags that are not like 5 kilograms. The only solution that I found is I know a place that has them on their gardens just when I'm walking down to the underground. So when no one's looking, if I need a piece, I grab a piece and put it into my pocket and then clean it up. Steal it from play packs. That's the solution. Steal your basic materials. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I think that's the end of the chat. If anyone has any more questions, just put them out while I'm saying these last words. And if not, thank you very much for watching. Again, next month, in about a month's time, we'll have another review. At the end of the month, we have another live stream where I answer questions, a kind of Q&A sort of review, and again, 2 videos per month because sadly, due to work, I cannot do much else. But thank you all very much for watching, and thank you for being here. Thank you to all my lovely Patreon channel members for all the amazing submissions and all the amazing support that they give me. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.